Intel laying out its future product roadmap, very key development and developments for the company. Joining us now for more on this product roadmap is Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger. Pat, always good to speak with you here. Pretty big event for you, laying out the next couple years of chip development. You say you can get back to a leadership position in the chip industry by 2025. Why are you so confident?
Well, what we laid out yesterday was a roadmap of our process innovations over the next 4 years. And what we described was basically the path back to parity. We're embracing the industry EUV technology that we actually helped create, but we weren't maximizing its use. So we're quickly putting that into the center of our process technology. And then we laid out some breakthrough innovations and this idea of the next generation transistor architecture. And Intel has a history, going way back for 25 years. The first use of strained silicon, the first use of high-K metal gate, the first FinFET. We've been about every decade we've created a fundamental new transistor architecture, and that's what we described yesterday. And we'll be delivering that. And we believe the embrace of the industry partnership, this radical new innovation of a new transistor architecture, some other new process breakthroughs as well, will put us back into a leadership position. Parity in 2024 and leadership in 2025, back where Intel belongs.
Pat, what changes have you had to make inside the organization to get the company to accelerate its product roadmap, where you can come out with a release like this and say confidently that you will be back leading the chip industry by 2025?
Yeah, and we've done restructurings. We've also given those new leaders the tools. I've given them R&D teams, expand the R&D so we can hire the best. Also the capital resources so that we can run more in parallel. What we said is normally we do a process generation every 2 years. Now we're going to do 5 generations in 4 years. So they need more capacity to run all of those experiments and those test cases to operate. So I've given them the tools. We've given the new leaders. We've brought key capabilities into the company. We've also eliminated maybe some of the arrogance that we had in the past by embracing the industry. And we announced an expansion of our partnership with ASML yesterday, a key tool provider, and relationships with IMEC, the European research, our partnership that we announced with IBM, and really benefiting from the best of the industry, as well as expanding our own capabilities and setting the torrid pace, as I've described, for our internal teams to put us back in that leadership position. And the energy, the mojo is rebuilding inside of the company. So we're feeling very excited about what we described yesterday.
It sounds like a cultural reboot of the company.
Well, I've used the words Grovian culture, where, we had sort of lost our way for a decade and made different decisions that weren't as good, weren't as focused on core technology and manufacturing. But what was old is new again. And we're going back to some of those hardcore, competitive, data-driven, engineering-centric, technology leadership perspectives that made Intel famous. And, this Grovian culture, as I like to call it, is coming back. And with that, we saw that was part of what made Intel so unique. And I was mentored personally by Andy for 35 years and really feel like I grew up at the feet of Noyce, Moore, and Grove as the founders of the company. And we're going to live in their legacy and make them proud in this next phase of the company.
How do you anticipate your key competitors responding to what you put forward last night?
Well, I think every one of them is going to say, can they do it, right? They've been stumbling for a while. Yes, we can. Well, our products are good. Well, ours are going to be better. They haven't been good suppliers lately to the different competitors the different customers in the industry. Well, we're coming back and we're rebuilding those relationships. We saw a market increase in customer scores just over the last couple of months. We're going to compete in the supply chain where everybody's constrained. We're going to be a bit better because we have our own manufacturing as well as use the industry. So it's going to be a competitive period in the industry, but overall, it's a rapidly expanding industry. It's going to be good for everybody, and we're just going to make it a whole lot better for Intel as we go to this next phase of our journey.
And as part of this, you're announcing that you'll also be making chips for Qualcomm and Amazon. But on Qualcomm specifically, clear this up for us. Is Qualcomm a competitor, and how does that relationship work if you are in fact competing with them? Now you're going to be making their chips.
For the most part, Qualcomm and Intel, we aren't really in each other's market very much, and particularly when Intel exited the modem business a year or two ago, the areas of competition even became smaller. And with me coming in as the new CEO and Cristiano Amon coming in as the new CEO, both of us, we've spoken many times since then. We said, boy, both of us sort of looked at each other as competitors, and we really don't compete a lot today. Why don't we go forge a partnership that's deeper and more meaningful? And out of that, we're seeing great promise for greater collaboration in a variety of areas. And yesterday's announcement that they're, planning on taking advantage of Intel 20A, this breakthrough new transistor technology, and becoming a IFS and Intel Foundry Services customer was really a point in that journey that excites both Cristiano and myself. And I'm sure we're going to have more to say about this in the future. But, the market was also saying, is Intel ever going to be successful with this new foundry business? And I think the combination of Amazon, Qualcomm, and over 100 customers in our pipeline for that business area is really saying, yes, they have the momentum of the industry. The industry needs more supply. Intel is stepping into that with leading edge technologies for a more globally balanced supply chain. This is good for the United States. It's good for the tech industry. It's good for national security. And this is a great step forward, and one that I'm excited to have my friend Cristiano joining me on that journey.
Qualcomm, Amazon, household names in tech, certainly. You say you have a pipeline of 100 other companies waiting to potentially use your foundries. Frame revenue. I mean, how much revenue can you generate from potentially 100 new customers, including Qualcomm and including Amazon?
Well, overall, the foundry business, there's a gestation time, because a major new design on a foundry, and as we said yesterday, Intel 20A only becomes available in 2024. So there's a fairly long cycle until designs start materializing. We have some of our modern nodes available more quickly, and we'll start seeing revenue from some of those customers as soon as next year in the packaging offerings. But it takes a while to build up that revenue stream. But overall, the foundry business today is over $100 billion market, so we're going into a large market. I've set a goal that by the end of the decade that we want to be the number 2 player in that market. So we're expecting that this becomes a large growth opportunity for Intel over that period. And yesterday's announcement was just a proof point on the way that we're making very good progress at the process, packaging, and now with some of our early customer announcements.
To service that potential demand, 100 plus customers, Pat, do you need to go out there and make a play for GlobalFoundries? There has been some reports of that.
Yeah, of course, Brian, I can't comment on the rumors in the industry. I can say more broadly that this is a big, expensive industry to play in. The R&D demands are extraordinary. The capital demands are extraordinary for it. So you can't be a little player. And as a result of that, we do see that consolidation will be appropriate going forward as we see the industry players continue to refine to those that can play at these highest scales. So I do think consolidation will happen, and I think we'll be a consolidator in that journey. And we're going to continue to build out our own organic capabilities, but we're also not averse to considering inorganic opportunities as well as we go forward in this and a range of other areas.
So nothing imminent.
I can't comment further at this time, Brian. Sorry.
Fair enough. We heard a good deal last night from Elon Musk over at Tesla. He wants to make more cars, Pat, but he can't because there's no chips necessarily to go into his cars. He's also had to push back when he releases his semi-truck, his Cybertruck. When does this shortage end?
I've said that I think it's about, a year to 2 years until we start to see some reasonable balance of supply and demand. So we still have a ways to go. I do think that Q3, second half of this year, is the bottom, is the worst of it, and we'll start to see things get better as we go into next year, but we still have a ways to go. And the reason for that is it takes a while to build these factories. If I build a greenfield new fab, that's 3 to 4 years until it's producing. If we're expanding existing capacity, that's still a year or two until that occurs. And this gap, where we saw the industry demand go from 5 or 6% growth to 20% growth, with a year of disruption where supply dropped to maybe zero expansion in the COVID peak year, this created a big gap. And you're not going to get over that overnight. And clearly the auto industry has been one of the most acutely hurt, but it really is across every aspect of the business. And as I said on our earnings call, I'm struggling with my supply chains, and I would give stronger guidance if I was able to get more supply of some of our piece parts like substrates. So we're working this super aggressively. The expansions of our investments, as I'm building factories as fast as we possibly can. I'm just beating up on my construction teams, telling them, run the concrete truck 7 by 24. We got to go faster at getting capacity online. But you're somewhat defying the laws of physics and going too fast here. But I'll tell you, we are all over it, and we do see the challenges of the auto industry. A $30,000 car is idled for a few dollars of semiconductors. That's just politically and economically untenable. So we and the industry got to go faster to close this gap, but we still have a ways to go.
Well, go easy on those construction workers, Pat. I mean, you got to go. Come on. They're doing what they got to do here. But you see a lessening in the shortage. By early next year, things shouldn't be as severe in terms of a shortage as it is right now, right?
Yeah, I think the bottom is Q3, Q4. We're predicting Q3, right? And then it will just get better every quarter, but there's still going to be meaningful shortages through next year, and as I predicted, into 2023.
Before we let you go, I need you to debunk this. There is this view on the street that Intel is no longer innovative. It can't mount a comeback. Now that you have been inside of this company for several months, and I've been following your journey, debunk this myth for us.
Well, yesterday, right, we said, here's our packaging innovations that have us years ahead of the industry. And we just rolled out 2 major new innovations yesterday. Yesterday, we rolled out and said, hey, here's the next major innovations in process technology with RibbonFET, a once-in-a-decade kind of transistor architecture and this new power delivery network in the back end, major innovations for the industry. We also said, boy, Mobileye, those guys are crushing it. We are the leaders in autonomous vehicle technology for the industry, another area of innovation. Silicon photonics, we're way ahead of the industry in the ability to have, move from copper to photonic interconnects. We're leading the industry in this disruption of, the 5G network to move to what's called an open RAN or a standard open interface. 3 years, we're super concerned that, are we ever going to be able to innovate in the 5G area and dependence on China? Well, now the industry has adopted this technology, and Intel's the leader in delivering that innovative edge platform around Open RAN and vRAN. And these are just a few of the areas. And come up in October, we're going to have the Innovation Conference. And this is where we fling the doors of Intel Labs open wide, and we're going to have a Geek Fest. And if you come away from that Geek Fest, then we're going to throw you in a Mobileye car. We're going to show you what these transistor structures look like, and we'll probably have another dozen or so innovative announcements. If you come away from that and say Intel isn't innovating anymore, I'm going to check your pulse. Because there is so much going on inside of this company. I mean, we got PhDs and labs and researchers all over the place. And I say it's like, a CEO like myself who loves technology, right? It's sort of like, the rain coming on a desert. The flowers are blooming all over the place as we're seeing innovation, the geeks alive and well at Intel. And show up in October, Brian, and we're going to give you a Geek Fest delight.
Well, I was planning to show up in October, Pat, but you kind of got me worried with those construction worker comments. I'm just saying.
Come on down. We'll take care of you. I promise.
All right, fair enough. Go easy on me. We'll leave it there. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, always good to see you. Have a great rest of the week.